Okay, what are we doing today?
I don't know.
I'm getting to order. Order.
Order.
Order. That's when he's just fed up with people. I don't need help to make my statement. Order.
What are you
I haven't
doing?
got it on here.
Can we get started?
Can you fuck off?
No. Can we make this now? It's kind of evolving a little bit, isn't it? So I'm just thinking, can we make it a bit more Breaking Bollocks style format in terms of the way we're speaking? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in terms of, see, that last one was well too long, but that I think we weren't kind of prepared for that. What was the length that things were going to be discussed at, but. I'm happy to do between an hour and 2 hours like we've done with Breaking Bollocks, but I think when we were starting off with Bollocks Report, I was trying to make it a really kind of quick fire.
Well, I think we should still keep it to be more concise, but
yeah, but I feel like I was rushing a lot of it. And
yeah,
should we?
We'll give each bit their sort of.
I have a feeling,
but let's not.
I have a feeling this particular bit of the recording that we're doing now might make it before the intro, because one thing I wanted to bring up was that we've had some comments from people on the network and Pate, basically, that I wouldn't necessarily agree with them. Craig was saying that some of our stuff's the best stuff on the network, but I don't think that's true. But what he's talking about in reference to is, for some reason, they like our honesty,
right?
And I've no fucking idea. I've never been accused of being honest before. But
we're not. Basically, we're not particularly professional, but we don't try and cover it up. We used to, I think, but
no, I think it's more to do with just being open and not being scared to admit failings and stuff. I was listening back to Violence the other day, and actually, it does get quite. I wouldn't say emotional, but I suppose it might do to other people. It's just, it is very open and very kind of. A lot of people, I think, hold back from being too kind of putting too much of themselves out there. It's more of a which is fine for whatever format.
I think I said
for different things, but
our love episode that because of a past relationship, now I'm really self-conscious about being honest.
It doesn't come across, but I think I would have worried in the past about being too open and being too forthright with, obviously there's some things you want to sort of keep to yourself, but it seems to be that which people like. So, just wanted to.
Okay.
So I'm just going to relax into it and be myself.
Cool. Not running around stressed going, oh, this thing's...
No, that was...
the finger!
That was 10 minutes ago.
You're the
I am. I'm fucking stressed at the moment. But yeah, that's another story.
During dinner, every 5 seconds you were being just an annoying twat basket and just running around I don't have time for anything.
I've got this picture in my head now. You get chicken in a basket in pubs and stuff. It'd be like picking the hairs out your teeth, though.
No, shut up.
Oh, perhaps not so much nowadays, but...
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
I don't want to think about that.
Stuff's just fart.
This is
No.
This is a PG-13 podcast.
Oh, that smells. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely wasn't me then.
A PG what?
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I want to start.
The referee.
I want to start.
The referee is on the court.
Fuck off.
Order!
Hello, Internet. I am Firebolt.
And I'm the Orbiter.
What are you You have some very varied intros.
I'm just trying to mix it up a
I
bit.
tend to just go, hello internet, I am Firebolt. Let's do this thing. Woo.
I'm just
Or
trying to mix it up.
sometimes I sound like really fucking out of it, but
I think Star Stuff said something, but I can't hear because she's further away.
doesn't matter.
You'll hear it when you edit it.
Exactly. We'll hear it eventually.
Or I might cut it out.
Well, then you'd have to cut out me mid-sentence.
Should we do something? Should we talk? Should we actually entertain people?
Okay, right. Quickly address something. We are not going. Well, I think last episode we weren't. We didn't have any video. This won't make. It will make a slight difference to our dear listeners, because now there's only dear listeners. Because why would you just watch a blank screen for 3 hours or however long we decide to talk?
What's he whispering?
Dear listeners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I stole it from one of the original presenters of Diz After Dark, but who's still in the toilet in the mouse's head. But Theo seems to think that it's not stolen now because he's turned it into an ASMR phenomenon.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, for all of our podcasts now, we are doing audio only because the Orbiter can't be asked to sync the video.
Ow! Well, I spent 2 hours trying to do it last time, and to be honest with you, who really watches the video on YouTube anyway? And we keep slipping up and doing things to the camera that the podcast audience can't see.
Yeah, so that might be a bit different for our...
So we are purely audio now.
news.
We're just coming in your ears now.
The metronome's on. The Orbiter screams so loud
I feel like
at Logic that it just broke.
I think this this is going to be a bit of a comedy episode.
Okay, but
which is kind of a reflection of this week's news, really.
yeah, we've got a much longer list because I actually decided to do some work this time.
Work? What is that? That's a 4-letter word.
Do we need our section cut off?
Do we need our sex what?
Section cut off.
That's like mutilation, isn't it?
No, like where we cut the.
Oh,
section.
have you finished the intro now?
I think so.
Okay, here's the cut off.
That was the intro. Welcome to News Rundown.
We're on form.
Shut the fuck up.
News
My voice broke on that.
Down.
Yeah. Okay. I need to get the document up. There we go.
Should we see if we can make this last less than 2.5 hours this week? This fortnight.
Okay.
Yeah, please do, because I want to watch the OA.
Okay. I do.
Hey, I want to watch. Sorry.
I do want to just briefly address last week's episode.
Last fortnight's episode.
Whatever.
The long one.
Yeah. Whilst we do enjoy having a nice natter, I think that was definitely a bit too long.
Yeah, a great amount of gratitude to our guest, who I didn't actually give a chance. I feel embarrassed because we're new at hosting guests, that I didn't give them a chance. I don't think I gave them a chance to plug their things.
I did. I said, do you want to introduce yourself? And he said, like, disabled is what I am.
Oh, right, okay. I missed that then. I wasn't listening.
Okay.
I do that sometimes. Sorry. Yeah,
especially
it
when
was
I'm
fun,
talking.
but it was a bit. It was a long one, wasn't it?
I feel like that more became a debate, and I can't listen to that without just getting really pissed off with Ben, because I still want to debate. It's like...
Oh, right, okay. Well, maybe we should invite him for round 2.
I felt like he had a lot of sort of idealizations of how the world should work, but no actual ideas.
I don't think he should be. Well, yeah, but he can't defend himself at the moment. So.
It's perfect. A straw man argument is always the best kind of argument.
The what?
Straw man argument. Basically, like building up your opponent's argument as something it actually isn't. Creationists do it all the time.
And is this what you're doing now?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm just saying my critique of his ideas.
Sounds like they had an ace time in Disneyland Paris.
Apart from the bomb scare.
Yeah, well, there was a big. If you ever go and have a listen to the, well, it's on the Diz After Dark feed actually. It was supposed to be Discover DLP, but it ended up being they ended up doing a podcast recording in the car on the way back, and it was quite entertaining to listen to. What? Is that your phone?
No, it's yours. I don't
What?
want it vibrating on the table.
Oh, well, give us it air because I'll switch the sound off. Because otherwise, somebody's going to go, hello? My messenger alert.
This is so professional.
I
I can't even, make rude gestures at the camera anymore.
I can't find how to make my messenger alert go off. Get off! Get off!
Just turn off the sound or turn off your phone.
Yeah, but I want to show you my messenger alert.
I don't want you to. This is a podcast. This is meant to be the news rundown. We could have started 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
Fuck's sake.
What episode is this?
Episode 7. Let's do this thing.
31st of
I don't
March.
think we actually did that in the introduction.
31st of March, 2019.
I think they got that.
Spaceflight reactivates dormant human viruses. Ooh.
Not sure how that works.
So does the anti-vax movement.
That's not viruses, usually.
Okay.
I don't think. No.
Okay. What is it?
I don't know. The various things. Oh, there might be viruses. Yeah, measles is a virus, isn't it?
Yeah, mostly virus. If it's a bacteria, you treat it with antibiotics.
Oh, yeah. I'm such a dumbass. I'm doing an impression of the Orbiter.
I'm punching Firebolt in the face.
Well, it shouldn't be, because that's against the law. I'm still a child, legally. I can't vote.
I'm still a child mentally. So yeah, sorry, we should be talking about space and reactivation of dormant human viruses.
I think it's just one of those things that just people should be careful of doing things.
What? Why would dormant humans have viruses?
No, the viruses are dormant.
Oh, okay.
They're sort of imagine the virus has just gone to sleep inside you.
Oh, tucked up in bed.
Oh, there's so many innuendos in that, but
What?
Gone to sleep inside you.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Shall we move on?
yeah, it's just people be careful, I guess. Thailand's new government could
When
be
you fall asleep inside someone.
unstable and
Be
short-lived.
careful when you go to space.
Yeah, if you have money. If you have money, please
Actually,
give us some.
we could send all the anti-vaxxers to space,
I don't think that would help anything.
but not
It'd be very expensive and not a very effective way of changing culture.
all right then, carry on.
Well, they're going to change culture themselves because if their kids all die.
Thailand's new government could be unstable and short-lived.
Is it still there? Is it still?
Yeah.
When did you write this down?
Until last Sunday.
Okay.
Basic. Okay, for some reason Logic is having a fucking fit today, so fuck Logic right now.
It can't decide what it wants to do in life.
We'll get onto that. Okay, so basically,
We're coming back.
I was
with
cut off
the
mid.
third time.
I was shut up. I was cut off mid.
Why do you keep telling me to shut up?
Because I'm trying to speak and actually get on with the fucking podcast.
Don't cry.
Fuck off.
Don't hit me.
I'm not. I'm just shouting at you because you're annoying.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry, he's dying.
I'm coming down with a... See, first fucking full week at the gym for a
Shut
long
up.
time, and I'm coming down with a chest
They
thing.
don't need to know your life story. When
They
you have
want
a
to know my
coughing
life
fit.
story.
Basically, there's a military bad guy who's a massive dickhead.
It's not me.
Complete massive dickhead.
It's not me.
I think he said something
Oh, that's
along
amazing.
the lines of stoning gay people.
Oh, I think I read something about
No,
that.
that's Brunei, which is actually
How
now.
did you know? You read my mind.
No, because I follow Humanist UK.
Do you?
Yeah, and that's something that they post because they care about human rights.
Okay.
Because they're humanists.
Speak into your microphone for me.
Shut the fuck up! I'm trying to have a conversation here, and you keep just going, "Oh, what's this technical issue? Oh, you're not speaking to my." You can't fucking complain because
Who are you trying to have a conversation with?
Audio quality is
Who are you trying to have a conversation with?
you, but you don't fucking.
You're just not interested in my side of the conversation.
Yeah, well, I'm actually trying to get on with the fucking podcast. That's the entire idea of a fucking podcast.
I'm enjoying this. Okay, what's next? Is it my turn? Have we finished
no,
Thailand?
I just want to actually get on with the item. Are you going, ooh, no, this is interesting. Little tidbits about my life.
I hope this isn't too annoying to listen to. It'll be annoying for you.
Shut up. I'm having a fucking mental breakdown.
It was about time somebody else did.
I have them every night. Usually not on a podcast. Okay. Basically, there's a sort of civil-backed one and military-backed one, and they really don't like each other.
So which one is officially in charge?
Currently, the military-backed one.
And who determines that?
I think it's a relatively good democracy. But I think the reason that the military-backed one actually got in charge might have been a coup. I'm not entirely well-versed on Thailand's government.
Okay.
It might have been... No, the politician I'm thinking of is actually from the Philippines. I'm sorry, that's so racist.
What?
The one that said about, like, stoning gays or something. They didn't actually, but they did a lot of stupid things on a campaign. One of the sort of Trump-era people.
Can I just ask, is the Brunei thing in the list somewhere?
No.
Because while that's been mentioned, I did notice someone calling for boycotting the Sultan of Brunei's hotels in America. I can't remember who it was. But that was one of the things that they'd done.
Sultan of Brunei is like one of the richest people in the world.
It sounds like a fucking dick as well.
Yeah. It's a tiny place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't want to go there anytime soon, so I can safely say, if you're listening, Sultan of Brunei, get a fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Okay.
Revoke Article 50 petition reaches 6 million signatures.
It was actually 4 million when I originally put this in, but it's reached 6 million as I've checked today.
Indeed.
It has slowed down a lot, though. Like, in the first night, I think it was like 14 signatures a second or something. Ridiculous like that.
Yeah. That crashed the website, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not that it's going to make fuck all difference. They'll do what
the government won't actually listen to it. A debate is actually meant to be happening on that the day after this podcast, but I think the government will just go, we don't care what anyone... Yeah.
What, along with all the other debate on Parliament's indicative votes?
It's been scheduled for tomorrow.
Theresa May trying to bring back a deal for the 57th
They'll just give a
time.
textbook response of, we don't actually care what anyone thinks. They don't care about what the House of Commons thinks, and we'll get onto that.
Well,
they have to have a vote about whether or not they're going to have a vote before they have a vote.
Well, that's
the procedure.
Yeah. But
it explains a lot.
They'll just go, oh, wait, and it's not the people's will because it's not 17.
I'm going to have another go at Colin Clark. You dick!
Yeah.
He's got his tongue shoved right up Theresa May's...
Never voted against the government once.
Has he not?
I checked. There's a website...
Colin Clark is our local MP.
There's a website called They Vote For You, I think it is. And it shows you the voting record of every MP.
And I can't remember.
So you can check the candidates to see whether you had to actually vote for them. And it shows various issues, how they voted on them. Like, this person voted overwhelmingly for gay rights.
Do you remember a film called The Human Centipede?
Okay, well, yes, but...
That's him and Theresa May.
Okay. I think it's a lot of backbenchers.
What's a lot of backbenchers?
Being ass-kissers.
I thought the backbenchers were the ones that revolt, tend to argue with her.
Well, only a few. Well, actually quite a lot now, because the Tory party and the Labour party are kind of a fucking mess right now.
We've got a new party as well.
Yeah, we'll get onto that.
Oh, it's a merry-go-round of insane proportions.
Yeah, British politics is just broken down right now.
I can't take it seriously anymore, though. I have to watch. I know there are consequences and stuff, but I have to watch it with a pinch of salt, if you know what I mean. I have to watch it almost like a soap opera.
Currently, we're scheduled to leave on the 12th of April if the deal doesn't get
that
through.
Might have changed by the time you hear this, though.
Yeah, currently. as we're recording this, it's scheduled for the 12th of April, and that would be leaving with no deal. So hopefully they get something fucking sorted by then.
So it could be then. It could be the 22nd of May. It could be the end of the year. It could be the next year. It could be never. It could be fucking... who knows?
It could be the year 3000.
One thing's for certain, though. It won't be anything to do with what the will of the people is.
Yeah. Because they haven't really considered that
if
since
anyone
2016.
If anyone claims to know what that is, you're deluding yourself.
Yeah. Employment figures increasingly driven by over 60s. This is that in today's climate, it's becoming impractical to actually retire.
Yeah, well, I won't have a pension of any kind, and it's only 13 years away for me. 12 and a half years away.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was 65, it was like the retirement age.
Well, no, yeah, but the article is driven by over 60s. I'll be over 60 in 12 and a half years.
Which
makes me feel fucking old.
Fucking horrible, and a signal that...
Do you think I'll ever grow up?
No.
Yay!
You'll be on your deathbed going, that's what she said.
That's what she said.
Next.
Venezuela's Guaido says Maduro.
You said that like a name in Star Wars.
I'm going to say, is Guido not somebody in Star Wars?
Yeah, Guido.
Yeah.
Well, that's Greedo.
Oh, Greedo, sorry.
And stop making fun of Spanish names.
Handshot first. Venezuela's Guaido says Maduro is in his final phase. It is what?
Final phase.
Okay.
You can read, can't you?
Yeah, but is in his final phase of what? Life?
No, his leadership of Venezuela.
Oh, right, okay. Who's
because he still technically rules it.
Yeah. Is this a similar situation, though, that people are saying that Theresa May's in her final phase?
Yeah, but, like, Theresa May hasn't quite done what Maduro's done.
Hasn't she, though?
No. Have you...
Oh, no, I'm taking the piss.
Fucking go to Venezuela.
Can I?
She'd have to actually make a decision for that, wouldn't she?
She'd what?
She'd have to actually make a decision if she was going to do what Maduro done.
Just nobody likes them. Mark Duggan's family sue police over death at 2011 riots. I'm surprised they didn't sooner. Unless that's just like, that's now successfully concluded them suing the police.
Don't know.
Because in the UK, legal things take forever. Like, there was one up here that I think the jury had to sit for like 2 years or something ridiculous like that, because it was just some civil lawsuit.
Speaking of which, and like, you know, with the amount of time that things take to get through, there was a thing I saw, slightly unrelated, but that the whole shit show that's going on with Brexit and the and Whitehall at the moment is causing lots of stuff to fall by the wayside, including a thing that they were talking about where they're trying to put like a 10-year statute of limitations on offences by police officers in Northern Ireland. Or soldiers in Northern Ireland, sorry.
What does that mean?
If a soldier in Northern Ireland had committed an offence, if you like, after 10... They're trying to get it through so that after 10 years they can't be prosecuted for it.
Right.
But apparently they can't get that legislation through because everybody in Whitehall's basically been diverted to dealing with the Brexit shit show. So I suppose there's multiple issues with that, whether or not you agree with the statute of limitations thing anyway. Because to me, if somebody commits what's essentially a war crime, I know you might not think of Northern Ireland as a war zone, but it was a civil war pretty much. Then should there be a statute of limitations on it?
No.
But what about all the people that ordered them to do that? Do they not also get charged?
Well, they should, yeah.
Yeah,
because
that's the big issue. It's like, you know...
Well, there was things like the Reader film, wasn't there, where there were like lots of people in Germany in the war that may have committed so-called war crimes, but it was like under orders from someone else. So...
Yeah, but there's a certain point where you do have free will.
Not necessarily if your
not-
family's at risk.
No.
And if you're in the forces as well, you can get court-martialed for
And, you know,
assaulting free will.
I lived in Northern Ireland for 2 years, and during that time, when the Troubles were on, my dad had to deal with that stuff, and I know he feels very passionately about this subject. He'll probably tell you more stuff. But considering the fact that a car bomb was outside my sister's school and went off.
That you've given me an idea for a special. We should maybe interview him on Northern Ireland.
Yeah. You know, he was actually there. And, you know, if you're face down with an angry mob of people, and some of those are violent people with, you know, lethal weapons, it's not exactly easy in the heat of the moment to pick out the exact ones that are doing this.
No.
And how they can get evidence to say that they did or didn't do, you know, the right thing. Because who in that situation is able to say what was happening? Yeah, obviously, having to fire a weapon at any time is going to be awful, and I feel sorry for those soldiers because I bet none of them wanted to do it.
Yeah, but like you say, there's a lot to be said about...
But that's what they're trained to do. That is their job.
People who ordered them to be there in the first place probably bear more responsibility, because you think of things like Bloody Sunday, it's like, you know, there must have been a chaotic environment going on. But
the police that killed Mark Duggan, as far as I know, they were under orders.
Got off the subject.
I mean, there are issues where, you know, soldiers and police commit crimes, and
although I am glad that in the UK it's to the level where that only happens once in a while, and it does spark.
It seems to be a relatively rare thing for the most part, and hopefully it will stay that way, that most people are fairly decent. So.
Although seeing some of the crowds outside Parliament on Friday makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, it's like we were talking about that, and I was saying, you know, the police, there were a lot of police fans there and a lot of police presence, obviously, for, you know, they've been sensible. It's got a...
See, that whole situation...
But at the same time, if they had been brought off, because Dad was saying that they were, you know, they were given a certain amount of money towards, you know, being able to pay the police overtime. So it's like, you know, you've done a 10, 12-hour shift already, you know, dealing with very stressful situations, probably, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And then you're faced with this angry mob of people who want their voices heard. I would not want to be in that situation.
I wouldn't in any way want to suggest that the right to protest be kind of squashed in any way, but I felt really uncomfortable.
The level of animosity
I felt really uncomfortable with...
quite vile.
I felt really uncomfortable with the... just how it looked, you know, the marching around with the drums and stuff. It struck me as, I don't know, I felt uncomfortable seeing it.
Was this on both sides, or?
No, it was primarily Leave campaigners.
I noticed,
but it wasn't so much
the
fact that they were
started dragging dummies of Theresa May and Sadiq.
Well, there'll be isolated incidents that the media are picking on, for, you know, because they do that, but it's just I don't know, it just seemed a little bit uncomfortable watching some of that. I mean, they were all pretty much, from what I could see, they were all kind of middle-aged white men.
Oh, that was a fun... this isn't in here. There was a fun story on that about...
Reminded me of the Orange Marches in Northern Ireland, actually.
Jon Snow, not the Game of Thrones guy.
Yeah, no, I saw that article.
Made like an offhand comment that was like an unscripted comment saying, "I've never seen so many white people in one place."
Yeah. Which, whatever your thoughts of that particular phrase are, is actually saying quite a lot in the centre of London in 2019, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right, next thing.
Last ISIS village falls and caliphate crumbles.
I think that impact was never really from their actual territory after 2015. But after that, I think they were on their back foot, and that's why we started seeing so many instances of them sprouting up in other places. Now their domain's the internet.
Mm.
And I don't know if there's any way to really beat that.
No.
Hackers.
Yeah, or just having actual conversations to people that are at risk of being radicalised.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I think about all of that. I think more needs to be done to reintegrate. I mean, I'm assuming there were some survivors.
Yeah. But there was a camp that, like, some...
We need to give them a route back into mainstream society.
Yeah, like
even if they go to prison, you know, they can't. But this whole thing with the Shemima Begum thing,
Shamina Begum,
yeah, that thing. Not her. I'm not calling her a thing. I'm talking about that news item
issue.
Thing. You know, we've said it before, haven't we? You can't just leave someone stateless. Well, you can leave someone stateless, but what the fuck do you expect is going to happen if you do that?
It's against international law.
Yeah.
So you can't actually.
It's just about taking responsibility, isn't it? You know, what you've got to think, what is going to happen if we leave a whole load of people without anywhere to go?
Oh, I wonder if that's how they went there in the first place.
But anyway.
Machine learning academics flock to tech giants, and that might be a problem.
What specifically do we think might be a problem about this?
I think if we're not careful enough with our AI, once they become, I think, general intelligence is a word, then if they're connected to the internet, then they'll pretty much become a super intelligent and be able to wipe out
is the idea
all of humanity.
Is the idea that they're flocking to tech giants, is that it's going to end up in the hands of sort of privatized corporations?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
You get like a Jurassic Park type situation, but much worse because like they'll have. It's quite easy to access like nuclear weapon silos.
We've had this discussion on Breaking Bollocks, haven't we? About was it AI? It wasn't AI. What was it? The future?
Automation, probably, or the future.
I can't remember. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Trying to work out what.
Very talkative today.
Who? Me.
It's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Next item.
Whose go is it?
Yours.
Spain's infighting Podemos launch election campaign. Who are they?
I think they're basically Spain's far left.
Oh.
And I think it might have been a bit of a surprise that they actually decided to.
Has Spain kind of historically been more sort of right wing?
Spain's all over the place politically. They had a civil war before World War II.
Yeah, because they were. I don't know.
And
if they
they've
were
had
actually
a fascist dictatorship until the 70s.
But so that was actually a dictatorship, was it?
Yeah,
yeah. Because I know they were kind of seen as having a sort of dictator-like authority in charge, but I didn't know if it was actually a dictatorship
until the 70s. Yeah, I think, and then perhaps there was a rise of the left because, like I was saying in our last episode, there are autonomous socialist communities in Spain.
It'd be nice if there was a rise of the centre ground somewhere along the line.
That's just been the 90s, really. That was the sort of everything's normal, and then sort of post 9/11, everything's kind of gone a bit funny.
Yeah, they kind of got their what they wanted out of that, didn't they?
I'm not saying that that's the cause.
No, but it's certainly been jumped on as a good excuse to crack down on civil rights across the board. Anyway,
yeah, so that's just saying. I haven't particularly looked into this story. It's just I like having little bits and pieces from all over the world because the UK isn't the only place.
No, it's certainly not the only place that's fucked up.
No. Hundreds of thousands descend on central London in Brexit March.
Cool. I'd be like, could you put like strawberry sauce and chocolate sauce on as well?
The organisers, I think, said 1 million, but that's quite hard to verify, which is, I think, at actual reported numbers, it's the biggest march since the Stop War March in 2003.
Right. Okay. So this was the march was actually for a people's vote, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously there were a lot more. Now, you can't really compare it directly with the Leave protest on Friday because it was a Friday, basically.
The Leave protest, the big one that I saw was the Leave Leaves Mean March, which Leaves Means Leave March, which was walking from Sunderland to London. About, I think, 150 people actually went on it. Nigel Farage walked 33 miles.
Yeah, that was done in kind of sections, and it was...
it was over 2 weeks. Like that was never going to have a high turnout, so it's difficult to sort of...
But it was timed to arrive on Brexit Day, wasn't it? 29,
yeah.
So,
do you think they're going to make a film about it in like 20, 30 years' time, a bit like Independence?
I'm sure I heard somewhere
Day.
somebody's working on Brexit the musical.
Yeah, they are. It's a show.
It'd probably be a race to get it out.
It's already out.
What do you mean?
It will probably be out before
It's
we
not on the
actually
West End.
achieve anything.
But it's a small-scale show. Someone's actually made it.
I can't see it now. Oh, you're going to look for it.
I'm looking for Brexit the musical because I swear it's already a production.
It totally
Someone, I think,
disappeared.
made a Brexit porno as well with Jeremy Corbyn.
But could they not agree
Theresa
on
May not.
Could they not agree on a withdrawal agreement?
Brexit and Civil War was. For fuck's sake, I'm getting notifications.
There was a TV programme, wasn't there, with Benedict Cumberbatch?
That was like a TV film.
That guy has been found in contempt of court. What was his name?
Dominic Cummings.
Yeah, for refusing to give evidence to the inquiry on something or other.
Brexit the musical.
I can't remember what it was now.
It's .eu as well.
.eu.
Brexodus the musical.
Oh, Brexmas Carols, 2017.
Yep, Canal Cafe Theatre on June 28th.
Is that Trump? Oh no, it's Boris Johnson.
It might be Trump.
Twins.
Yeah. I saw someone being interviewed on outside the Houses of Parliament. A politician, I can't remember who it was, but I actually thought it was a parody when they came on screen, but it wasn't. It was somebody off one of the back benches. And they had the most ridiculous looking blonde hair that I thought was a wig.
Oh.
But it kind of looked like Boris Johnson's hair had been taken off, made into a wig and put on backwards.
Yeah, it kind of looked like someone doing a bad impression of Boris Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen it, have you?
Yeah. It's fucking knob jockey.
Yeah, sorry about that. Starstuff just got a really offended face because she's blonde. But I'm sure she's used to that.
T-Rex. Oh, it's your turn, isn't it?
T-Rex, found in Canada in the 90s, declared the world's biggest.
$1 billion would take a long time to do shit.
Well, they've got plenty of time.
It's not like it's going anywhere.
They've been there for 165 million years. What's another couple of years?
That's just interesting.
Yeah.
The world's biggest T-Rexes now.
Uh-huh.
New Zealand bans terror suspects manifesto.
That's
Ben won't
late,
be
isn't it?
happy.
Well, I'm not sure about his take on that because since that guesting that we've had, I've heard him on another podcast saying that he wished he hadn't read it and that you can't unread it, and warning that if anybody has a chance not to read it, which is pretty much the opposite of what he said.
I'm going to
on
say
here.
that's guaranteed to make people want to read it, though, isn't it?
Could be a double bluff. He's probably going to be shouting at the thing now.
But I think that's just reasonable. Keep in mind that I was writing a lot of these items like last week, so
yeah,
some of that may think, oh, that was a bit late, but that was last week.
Yeah.
So, peace in Yemen hangs on fragile. Oh, it's your turn.
Peace in Yemen hangs on fragile truce. Is there peace in? Well, I suppose there is peace, but haven't they been kind of blockaded?
There's brief truces every now and then. It's
years.
a bit like Palestine, I think.
But how well armed are they anyway? Are they not like kind of just isolated off the bottom of? Is it Saudi Arabia?
How well armed are who?
Yemen.
Well, I can't remember. There's kind of a Cold War going on between Saudi Arabia and I think it's Iran, and they're selling weapons to different sides, so relatively well armed since they actually are being fueled by these Arabian superpowers. After Cyclone, I'm not sure how to pronounce this.
Idai.
Hunger and grief mounts in Mozambique.
Yeah, that was a while ago now. I saw has it not been a couple of weeks since that happened? I was surprised because I hadn't seen it on the news until the last sort of, certainly this week just gone. But then I saw a thing saying that it's been like a couple of weeks since it's, and they're starting to get incidences of cholera and stuff like that.
Yeah, but, again, I did write this like a couple of weeks ago. So.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, no, but I have no idea.
It's after that, so quite a lot of that would have been happening during the actual cyclone, but now this is the aftermath, and that's a lot worse.
Yeah. We saw some pictures on TV, didn't we, of them carrying ridiculous amounts of, like, carrying their house on their head, and not their house, but you know what I mean.
Massive, big kind of basket.
Women walking around with,
the one that
loads of
really
stuff
made
piled
me
on their
comment,
head.
she had this huge thing that bounced on her head with, some kind of materials in it. But then she had some kind of like long pole thing on her shoulder.
I think it's fairly normal though over there, isn't it?
And it's like, it should be an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Those people, they were just amazing.
How much stuff can you pile on your head?
I'm not entirely sure about the situation in Mozambique.
There's lots of people with stuff piled on their head.
Yeah, but...
Well, I think they all
a lot of it's
medals,
underwater
not just
now.
for carrying stuff on their head, but for the shit
They seem to be wading in water quite a lot. And obviously, as I say, I did hear that there's cholera and stuff going on. But this is the thing at the moment. Yeah, this stuff is out there on the news, but we're getting so much less through. I mean, there's a whole load of shit going on in America with Trump and the Mueller thing. Mueller thing.
You are the worst at pronouncing names. You've gone Guaido and Maduro or Podemos.
Yeah, but it's just all. If there's any time that the government wanted to bury any news, then basically this whole last 2 years has been it, and certainly at the moment. Have a good hunt around.
I feel
There's
like
probably something really scandalous going on.
That's Trump's strategy, just to create such a news storm that whatever stupid thing he's actually said is masking the actual damage that he's doing.
I mean, fucking hell, here, the amount of shit that's going on with the NHS and poverty, and sorry, I didn't mean to play footsie with
We
you
haven't
another
had
time.
a disabilities minister for 16 days.
No. And what's her name? I saw the other day, what's her name? Amber Rudd, was it? Who's the DWP secretary?
Amber Rudd.
Yeah. Going on about how we need to sort out the chaos that's going on in this country at the moment. It's like, you need to sort out the fucking chaos in your own department, love, before you go. You are the Work and Pensions Secretary, and basically there's a think tank just said
there's plenty of time to actually get onto that, because there's loads of stories about that, so can we actually talk about
good, I'll save my comment.
Mozambique.
Okay, you've got that to look forward to. Yeah.
Ooh, coming up. Get the comic relief now.
Get the kettle on.
I think that it's whenever a natural disaster hits somewhere that's worse off in the world, that it gets a lot less attention. Yeah. This one was particularly bad, and aid just doesn't really get there.
No.
Other than the usual stream of donations that would probably go more to,
I don't know,
closer to the equator.
People, I don't know, people have just been desensitized over the decades that just expect Africa to suffer.
Yeah.
Whether it be through natural disasters or, well, I suppose famine is a natural disaster, isn't it? But, just kind of... atrocities and...
The hurricanes in America get so much coverage and are cleaned up within a month. I mean, even the one in Puerto Rico wasn't cleaned up for, I think, maybe even a year after it happened.
I think they're still having...
Even now, I think that happened 2017.
I think some of it has been obviously done, but there's still a lot that probably, a lot of their infrastructure
that's Puerto Rico,
needs
isn't it? They don't
fixing.
get to vote, so...
Yeah, but that is literally part of America.
I know, but they still don't get to vote, so...
Well, they care when, North Korea threatens Guam.
Well, only because that means they're getting closer to the mainland.
Yeah.
They don't actually care about the fact that Guam's going to get hit. It's just, well, that's a bit closer than it was last week.
It's difficult to take any news seriously because you get anything you hear, you're just second guessing like what the motivations behind any news article are, whether they be from the media source that's giving it out or from the person that's instigated the, if Trump's saying something, what are his reasons for that? And it's just too much mental gymnastics to like.
I would say there are a few that you can just sort of guess that most of the time they won't be trustworthy. Daily Mail, Telegraph, that sort of.
But it's like
Express.
the bullshit that's happening with the. Sorry, well, I'm getting onto the. I'm itching to lay into the fucking Tories and the government. Let's get onto it.
Huffington Post sometimes can be a bit dodgy. I think the Guardian's generally trustworthy, and a few of the American ones are pretty bad because actually in the UK we have laws that say that TV news has to be factual as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which basically means they get equal amounts of complaints from either side and they assume they've done a good job.
I do remember reading an independent assessment of the trustworthiness of different media outlets, and apparently Al Jazeera is quite a neutral reporter. Yeah. But I'm assuming that they do a lot of coverage of like Middle East stuff, which obviously is
a lot of world news.
Yeah.
I noticed that it's the main news source in Turkey when we were over there.
Right, yeah.
Which
and
is surprising given how
Reuters is
the sort of dodgy record that I think Turkey has on freedom of the press, given that quite often I think they're not the most accommodating to Erdogan.
Is Al Jazeera not based in... is it based in Yemen?
I think I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Only in terms of the political balance in the region, like with Saudi Arabia, obviously not happy with them, and I suppose in terms of how a particular news outlet would be viewed in different countries, like you said, it's the main one in Turkey.
Qatari.
Qatar. Where's Qatar?
Is
that where the World Cup is soon?
Yeah.
It's like it's off the edge of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
I think they've had
north of UAE.
That's probably the one.
Embargoes or something.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Saudi Arabia.
Sorry, I was saying all about Yemen. I was actually thinking of Qatar.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm talking about half the time. Maybe I should join the Conservatives.
Next. You.
Where are we?
Thailand.
Thailand votes in face-off between coup leader and Democratic Front. So Nick Cage.
It was coup. What?
Never mind.
I was right in saying that was coup. That was the military-backed guy.
Right. Democratic Front.
They've had quite a bad history, I think, with that, because I think I remember in Modern Studies when I actually did that, they were saying about, I think it was a Thai general who'd taken over and genocided a bunch of protesters, basically.
Genocided? Is that the verb of the day?
It's a verb now.
I'm going to genocide you.
Basically just shot a bunch of protesters.
Yeah.
I think that was in Thailand. I'm not sure if that's the same guy or there's been loads of switch off, like handovers between then. But hopefully the Democratic Front wins because they sound a lot nicer. Universities to be fined for awarding too many top degrees.
Who by?
I presume...
Thick people.
Like the government.
Thick people, then. Yeah, I can't believe you just corrected that. You missed out the B in the sentence and you've actually just put it in.
Shut up. I think
Well, he did get a distinction in his latest exam, so you know.
Yeah, but that's not a university degree.
No, but he's still probably likely to get whatever the thing was in the university degree when he does it, knowing him.
A 1-1. I bet you get a 1-1. You'll get it with honours or something.
you'd be surprised. There's a lot, but like when the smart people.
I've seen your
From-
revision timetable. I never had one when I was at school because I was.
Everyone at my school has a revision timetable, pretty much, apart from the druggies.
Are they given one?
Like my friends have a revision timetable, and they got like 60% in their prelims. So
Oh, kids are
doesn't
more
necessarily
conscientious
make a
these days, aren't they? We weren't like that.
I know.
How did we survive?
yeah,
How did I pass any exams? All I did was read notes, not notes about the subject.
Maybe we didn't. Maybe this is the afterlife.
I mean, there'll be some people that try to make out, oh, it's this participation awards thing, but it's just
No, I passed.
No,
all
a top
mine.
degree is a top degree. It's
yeah. It might be that IQs are getting higher because they actually are.
yeah, but then so should the measurement of you know the exams should get harder if the overall population is getting more intelligent.
I'm not sure the overall population is getting intelligent.
Well, all right then.
The elite population.
Yeah, the gap between the top and the bottom is probably. You can't give us a Pringle, please. Indian tandoori chicken masala.
I've got shortbread.
Except chicken masala's not. Oh, that's
Yeah,
chicken
they've got these.
masala.
This is slightly new. They've got these new flavors that are like meant to be. I think they also have like. I think it's like
We have enough snack break.
it's soy chicken or something. I don't know.
Did you just read one out?
Today's episode is sponsored by Patterson's shortbread. It's really tasty.
And Pringles.
And Pringles.
Like on Friday, I had half a can of Pringles for lunch because I'm inept.
Trump allies declare victory after Mueller report. See, it is Mueller. Mueller.
It's pronounced Muller.
That's a yogurt.
It's pronounced Muller.
Shouting something louder doesn't make it true.
It's pronounced Muller because that's how his fucking name is pronounced.
Oh, that's a good reason.
In anything I've seen about it, it's been pronounced Muller, not Mueller report.
But they are Americans and they can't pronounce most things.
I can't spell, so
It's a fucking name!
we'll stop getting so annoyed about it then.
My fucking god. Right, we're going to have a perspectives piece on that later.
Let's move on then.
What is his name?
No, the Mueller report. We'll get back to that. We'll have an in-depth discussion about our own opinions on that. Under threat, May holds Brexit crisis talks.
May's under threat. So we're going to go straight from April to June.
Fuck off.
Okay.
I just think...
See ya. Bye.
Oh my god.
You got. She is. She's been under threat for fucking.
Yeah, Tory's going, oh, we'll oust you one day.
When did you note this one down? Because it's different every day.
Like,
This
yeah, so
crisis-
much shit has happened in like the last week to do with Theresa May. Like,
I mean, you did a bollocks flash on.
she must have aged 100 years in the last week.
The indicative vote, and then 2 days later there was a fucking another the withdrawal agreement. Half of that was voted on,
Which failed.
and now Monday
Which
they're gonna
isn't
be
even an
taken
item
back
in
in.
this because I didn't have time to catch up on that.
No,
Okay, so next.
Okay. I just like Burko. Anyway, pardon me. I've lost my place. Where are we? Is it my turn?
Yes,
Thousands attend NZ attack vigil.
New Zealand.
You didn't write New Zealand. You wrote NZ.
Yeah, because that's a generally presumed acronym.
Well, people's ears can fill in the gaps.
Yeah, but it sounds a little bit... What? NZ?
Would you like to criticise me on air even
New
more?
Zealand attack vigil. Right. I think New Zealand's handled the attack very well, particularly their leader. It actually showed that you can be compassionate and strong at the same time. I love Jacinda Ardern. Not in a creepy way.
What's her name?
Jacinda Ardern.
Okay.
She's a good prime minister. And Netherlands actually had quite a few female prime ministers.
What?
Maybe that's indicative of something that maybe we should have.
I'm just looking down the list of remaining things, and I'm just thinking we can just combine several of them into one comment at the end, can't we?
Probably.
Because it's all about the Tories and Brexit and May and the cabinet, and so shall we skip through the
we'll
rest
skip
of them
through
and then go?
We'll skip
to that
through
at the
the Brexit and Tory things. And then we'll go back to that at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Huawei possibly. Okay.
Well done.
Huawei possibly to be banned.
Well done again.
UK after government-backed report.
Yeah, I misread that as baked.
Basically, a watchdog that the government backs reported that would be a threat to national security.
Now,
because it's a Chinese company.
I don't know what this is about, but I am slightly suspicious because over the last few weeks there's been news coming out of America about Donald Trump having issues with Huawei. Have they not been taken to court in America over something as well?
Yeah, commercial theft and spying and shit. Yeah. It's possibly a threat to national security, so they're possibly banning it.
Is it though?
Yes, the report says it is.
Yeah, but it's government backed. Who do you trust?
Well, the watchdog is meant to watch out for threats to national security. It has more of a clue than you do, and they have been...
There's no need to get personal.
They have...
No, Julian Assange.
Well, they're the experts that the government has hired to figure this shit out.
I thought the government said we'd had enough of experts.
Government-backed, not necessarily government-hired.
Okay.
And that was just Michael Gove.
Okay.
And he's not even a part of the human species.
I'm not. I don't condone spying in any way, but I'm pretty sure Google are just as guilty of spying.
Oh yeah, all tech companies do. It's just that it's from China, so
yeah, which is they're
giving it to the Chinese government,
which is the other side.
Yeah. Revitalization. You can read that one.
Oh, thank you. Revitalization aims to remake Pakistan's largest city. What's that?
Would it be Quetta or?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't know. Oh, I've just opened Netflix.
Should we watch something?
No. It might be Islamabad, which is the capital.
Might not, though. No.
I think there's a lot of instability in the region, so they're wanting to make it actually a bit more functional. So they're not like falling apart, because I think there has been a bit of fighting. That's not like Kashmir area. I'm not sure. It might just be that I randomly got a news story about them trying to just basically do what they've done to like Manchester and that. Was it Manchester that now looks nice even though it used to look shit? Well, that might
I think there's a lot of places. Liverpool has had a lot of
places that got bombed the shit out of in the Troubles.
In which Troubles?
The Irish Troubles. The Troubles.
Yeah, that was most cities, I think. London had a lot of that.
London and Manchester, I think, had some... a fair few, and obviously
I think generally a lot of city centres have been revitalised. I know Leeds is looking a lot better than it used to 20, 30 years ago. I know Birmingham, central Birmingham's
falling apart when we went there.
Yeah,
all the stores had basically
closed
closed down. It looked like the 70s, but like run down.
But it always has since before the 70s. But it's just that it's never been kind of empty and.
Yeah,
places closed down. I think everybody's. I don't know. There might be a revitalization. I'm just picking up on a word that I just looked at. There might be a rebirth when people can't afford to go anywhere
or can't legally go anywhere. Turks vote in test for
when
Erdogan.
they stop the Lancastrians leaving Lancashire. Then
Turks vote in test for Erdogan as recession hits home. I think that's like local election stuff.
Test. Oh, Turks vote. Okay.
Well, There was all that business with the coups that almost happened.
The Haaland coups.
Well, apparently a lot of the population still supports him, despite all the fucking shit he's done. Because he's very Islamic.
Facebook exploring restrictions for live video after New Zealand attack.
That's not even a difficult thing to pronounce, and you're going, New Zealand.
I'm making a point of pronouncing it because you told me off for not pronouncing it. Okay.
NZ.
Facebook exploring restrictions for live video after NZ attack.
No, New Zealand. Say just New Zealand as a normal person.
No, because it's not nearly as annoying for you.
Can you not pronounce names as a normal person?
Well, I just didn't. There's no point asking me to not pronounce them again.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because you don't want to just be like scrolling on Facebook and see people getting shot.
Sorry, why I found that funny, I don't know.
Because it's a bit shocking. That's the stage that our situation got into.
Look.
Things that would normally seem so satirical.
Yeah. It's a meme, somebody's getting their head blown off.
That's how desensitized we are to everything nowadays.
Yeah. Anyway, whose go is it now?
Maduro's opponents hope worsening conditions will topple him. I think, I'm not sure if that means, like, the worsening conditions in the country.
Has that got something to do with Guaido?
Well, yes, he's one of the opponents, the main one.
I just wanted to say his name again.
Can you just, like, shut up for 2 seconds and stop me going?
No, I can't do it. Something wrong with me.
I'm not sure if that's meaning that, like, the situation in the country's gotten so bad, or that he's actually having, like, health problems.
I want a biscuit.
Okay. You
Sorry.
Least attention. Okay, let's go through all the Tory and Brexit shit.
Right, here we go.
Philip Hammond says
Wankers.
second referendum is a coherent idea. I kind of like
Good
Philip
for you,
Hammond.
Philip Hammond.
I mean, as much as you can like a Tory, I kind of like Philip Hammond.
But there's no excuse for propping up a regime like them.
Yeah, well, I think he said that austerity was basically unnecessary, and he's now saying that it's a coherent idea. Although maybe that actually means that he doesn't think it's a good idea. Just saying coherent. Is a bit like
patronising.
Yeah,
well, it's coherent, I suppose. See, that's the difference, though, for me, is that I noticed the language. They're talking about, because the power, if you like, had been not handed back, but taken back by Parliament from the government. Yeah, and then it seems to me like the next step would be this idea of a people's vote, and it's almost like returning it to the people, and it's like getting further and further away. But the language there means quite a lot to me, and that they've called the first vote, if you like, a referendum, but this one they're very specifically calling it a people's vote, whereas a referendum's not technically a vote. So will it?
Yes, it is. You vote in a referendum.
No, you give your opinion in a referendum. You don't. You're not actually.
Referendums can be binding.
You vote in elections.
Vote. You can vote for options in a referendum. It is a vote. Indicative votes, even though it doesn't actually do anything, they are voting on something. We are voting on something. It's a vote. Vote means to decide that you want to...
vote.
Stop being nasty to me.
I'm just saying that you going, well, it's not technically...
but you're
it is.
verbally beating me up in public.
Yes, but I'm actually just telling you what the word actually fucking means, because they're being annoying.
So, right, okay, so there is no difference whatsoever in the meaning between vote and referendum. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm saying all referendums are votes, but not all votes are referendums, basically.
Right. Okay, so that kind of agrees with what I'm possibly saying then. But if we did it again, would it be a referendum or would it be a vote? I know a referendum would be a vote.
Would it be binding, do you mean?
Well,
be more clear with your language.
Well, yeah, well, you could say the same thing to the Tories, couldn't you? Because the whole thing at the moment is about whether
well, at
or
least
not...
you can be clear with your language, because they can't, because otherwise they'll just fall apart and become dust.
I'm feeling complimented that I can be... Actually, I did say at the beginning of this episode that we've been complimented on being honest, so...
Do you mean binding?
Well, they meant binding the first time, didn't they? Because they
No,
put a
they
leaflet.
didn't.
They did, because they put a leaflet through the door that said so.
Yeah, before it happened, the government did say that they would abide by it, that it would be a binding agreement. But referendums
legally, it wasn't binding.
Yeah, referendums aren't automatically, they are an opinion poll.
No, they just said it was.
But
But it does make me laugh when people bring that up as a kind of a...
Saying that it's the government's policy and actually putting through legislation that says we will definitely, we have to abide by this.
Yeah, I agree.
different.
I agree with you, but I just want to point out that it wasn't the government's policy alone; it was Parliament's policy as a whole. The whole of Parliament voted on it being binding.
Well, no, they didn't, because it wasn't actually fucking binding.
No, not legally, but the whole of Parliament agreed that it would be binding.
Did they?
Well, that's what I've been picking up from news reports.
No, really.
Right, you need to look it up then, because that's
you
one
want
of the
me to
major arguments that's being brought about why aren't we leaving, because we were told that it would be binding, and they've been debating it in the House of Commons, accusing each other of all sorts of things. But one of the things that's kept being brought up is that the whole House voted on it, whether or not they would
Article
respect.
50 is meant to be legal.
The whole House voted on whether or not they would respect the outcome of the referendum. And they agreed that they would. Well, look it up. I don't know when. It's just
what do you want me to actually look up? Because that's not very clear. I'll just look it up.
Okay, hang on. Did Parliament agree the referendum
You're terrible at
would
searching.
be binding? Well, you fucking asked me to do it, so shut up.
Well, tell me what you want to search, and then I can...
Is the EU referendum legally binding?
Parliament is sovereign, and if Brexit wins, Cameron will not be legally obliged to invoke Article 50.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about legally obliged, though.
Yes, but party policy and saying we will do this.
Yeah,
it's
but
not
the entire
law.
House isn't one party.
It's not law.
I'm not saying it is law. I'm just saying that the House agreed to it.
Well, I think when they all agreed to
It wasn't just the government.
the
And
Article
I didn't
50
think they
thing,
knew
then that
about-
was written into law.
The illegal campaigns and all of that.
No, I totally agree. I don't think that it should be legally binding, and I don't think they should go through with it because they're ignoring the fact that the Leave campaign's been identified as a criminal campaign. And I totally agree with you in that sense. But how did we get onto this anyway?
There have been referendums where the government was obligated to make relevant legislation, and that was the alternative vote referendum.
And what were they obligated
also filled with
by? What made it legally binding?
By, I presume, the decision to actually have the referendum, that they'd voted to say, oh, we're going to have a referendum. And like several votes that went into that.
But this is what I'm saying, that they have been saying in the House that that's what the House voted for, not just the government.
No, they're saying that the House voted to have a referendum.
No, to respect the result of it.
No, when did they vote for this?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've seen them saying in the House of Commons this week to each other.
Half of that's bullshit.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that's what I've seen said.
It's no fucking wonder so many people are confused about what's going on. With how much... Don't trust what they say in the House of Commons.
Well, no, of course not. It's for the politicians. Nobody who's been alive for... I mean...
Basically, they put out leaflets saying the party and the government...
This is one of the things that really pisses me off, though, about... And I'm going to get annoyed about it. The argument that's being given about this leave means leave, and why aren't we just getting on with it and stuff by the people that voted to leave. That you're specifically targeting this one thing that politicians have said they would do, that they would respect the result of this referendum. When have you ever believed what politicians have told you in the past?
Yeah.
You know, it's all very well to pick on something like that when it suits your argument, but the number who is naive enough to think that politicians mean what they say? They're just trying to get their own way, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it legally binding just because they said
But
that it
clearly
would
the people that vote for them.
Yeah, well, fucking stop voting for them, and
You
can see the mess the country's in.
We've had 9 years of Tories with 3 elections, and they've still gotten in.
You forget I went through all the Thatcher shit as well.
Yeah. So people will believe the lies that they're told. The Tory parties are just snivelling.
I mean, I know it's opening up a whole different kettle of fish, but I mean, you can understand why someone like me would be in despair at the state of British politics and actually be seriously considering, if it came to another Scottish independence referendum, whether or not we'd be better off the fuck out of it. Because I've just had enough of
That's a consideration that I'm making.
It's
not. I
not.
will quite possibly be able to vote on that.
It's not because I particularly want Scotland to be independent. It's just that I've fucking
You'd
had enough
rather
of.
be in the EU.
I've fucking had enough of Great Britain. Great Britain, United Kingdom. It's like, talk about doublethink. Sorry, I'm just getting. I don't care. Fuck it. You know, if I'm gonna be annoyed about something. I'm gonna be annoyed about something. So fuck it.
I don't think going at that from the angle of we hate the United Kingdom is ever going to solve anything.
I didn't say I hate the United Kingdom. I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah, no, that's not a good way to do that, because that's the same way that sort of fear of the EU actually got us to the situation we are in now. It needs to come from a desire for unity.
But I'm not afraid of. Yeah, if it was. Yeah, okay. So if we were going to end up as an independent nation and we wouldn't be allowed in the EU, I totally agree. But to me, globalization is something that needs to happen. It's the way the world is going, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. The internet is making it a necessity. So if we keep fighting against it, there are going to be countries splintering off left, right and centre that just don't want to be a part of it. If we've got a choice between being a part of a larger organisation or a smaller organisation, i.e. the EU or the United Kingdom, fuck it, I say go with the 27 countries instead of the other 3. At least we're closer to a global community then. But yeah, I agree. If we were going to end up just as one nation on its own, then that would be...
And giving up fishing and oil to do with Norway being in the EEA, that would work for us a lot better.
But you can't change any of these things without being on the inside. I know the EU's faulted, but I mean, as was being pointed out the other day,
that will actually come to
that Femi, or what's his name, that's doing the people's vote thing. I saw him having a discussion with a Brexiteer outside the Houses of Parliament. And it was a good discussion, and they went away amicably afterwards. But he was pointing out, because they were saying about democracy and the will of the people and stuff like that, and he brought up the point that we're talking about wanting to get the benefits of democracy back here, when actually here you're more than likely going to be in a situation where your vote just doesn't count because of the two-party system, whereas actually, ironically enough, in Europe they have proportional representation, so it's a more democratic system.
Not completely. They have They have a problem similar to the Electoral College, where really small countries with, I think it's that they get 1 MEP per, I think it's 100,000 people.
Right.
And obviously, I think it's meant to be that they have a minimum of 3 MEPs.
Right, okay.
And some countries, such as Luxembourg or Malta, have less than that as the population. So they're actually getting more of a say than UK citizens.
Yeah,
it is
by numbers,
mostly proportional representation.
But it's certainly a lot more democratic than the two-party system that we've got.
Yeah.
The first past the post.
But each
I don't know how
gets to decide how they elect their
I don't know how we
MEPs,
can get there, but I think that's the most important thing that needs to change in the United Kingdom is our electoral system.
Yeah.
It
It's definitely broken. It doesn't reflect anyone.
I mean, everybody who's looking at the situation as it is now must be able to see that our political system is completely broken.
Okay. We got a bunch more news stories that we need to cover as well under this. May faces cabinet coup as ministers warn she has days left.
Well, they can't do another no confidence vote until December, though, can they?
No. But she has said that if her deal gets through, that she'll immediately resign. And we'll get onto it, has said that she'll call a
Did
snap
she say she would
election.
immediately resign, or did she say that she would
Resign for the next phase.
For the next phase of the negotiation?
Yeah, politicians' language is always unclear, and it's sort of like, oh, well, I promise I'll...
And suddenly, people like Boris Johnson and Jacob Rees-Mogg are like, oh, okay, we'll support your deal then, because now we're going to...
I saw an excellent takedown of Jacob Rees-Mogg from, I think it was a BBC programme, where the host was grilling him, saying that he called the deal something that would put the UK into a slave state.
Yeah.
And the way that he just tried that was, oh, well, it'll only be for a little while. And that's better than no Brexit.
Yeah, but if he's in charge, then he'll be the master of the slaves, won't he?
He'll never be in charge. Jacob Rees-Mogg is not popular in the Tory party. Apart from with a very...
Who is at the moment?
I
Boris
think currently
Johnson
currently the favourite, I think, is David Lidington. Basically,
I did see something about...
No one's actually heard of him, so...
I did see an article saying that... ask him whether or not Dominic Raab might be.
Oh, fuck that. He didn't even know where... Fucking hell.
Was he not the one that had never read the Good Friday
Agreement?
Agreement?
He the current Brexit...
I think he was the one that also didn't really know like how significant France was to us, or how the Channel Tunnel worked. He's not the current Brexit secretary. He resigned.
Oh right, okay. So
we have a third one that hasn't really done much.
I can't keep
someone Marshall, I think.
But this is where the party politics is really taking precedent, isn't it?
All of this is the Tories wanting people to like them. David Cameron called a referendum because he wanted people in his own party to like him and not to go to UKIP.
I've got a great way for the people for loads of people to like the Tories.
Not be massive cunt holes to disabled people and
that's exactly the same as what I was going to suggest.
And children.
But yeah, basically
people,
stop being Tories.
And unemployed people. And foreign governments. And everyone.
I did see a funny meme saying, Guy Fawkes, where are you when we need you? But actually, that is quite a... I bet there are people out there who would be shocked by somebody saying that, because he was basically a terrorist who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament.
But there's still people that actually care about that.
And it wasn't just him.
I'm sure anyone who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament would have a reason.
We don't have to have a whole discussion about like James II, was it? And all that.
We don't have to, no.
James first, but yeah.
First, sure, whatever.
What would you like to discuss then?
Brexit.
Do you think we can solve it?
Got more of a chance.
Bob the Builder. He can fix it.
Can we Brexit?
No. Johnson and Gove under fire over Leave's law breaking.
Isn't Johnson the American colloquialism for a penis?
How is that relevant?
Well, it's
going to become the colloquialism in the UK for a penis, given Boris Johnson.
I always thought Boris sounded very Russian.
How is this relevant to anything? Discuss the fucking news article.
What's the article?
Johnson and Gove under fire over Leave's law breaking.
Who by, though?
I'm surprised that it's actually gotten to them. I'm not sure if this is under actual legal fire or that it's just...
Who's criticising them? Because they don't seem to be even acknowledging the Leave campaign's criminal.
I'm presuming the media, but usually it doesn't actually get to them. It's usually put on
somebody else.
The people that were...
Like Dominic Cummings, who's in contempt at the moment for refusing to give evidence.
Yeah. I mean, Dominic Cummings is a dick, but it's not getting to actually the people that kind of orchestrated the actual campaign rather than the behind-the-scenes law-breaking.
That article interests me. Worried Tories warn election would annihilate us.
Okay, can we go through the other stories first? May could bring deal back for fourth vote and hints at general election. It's seeming like a lot of the parties are now saying general election
vague,
is the
though.
way to go.
It's a bit of a vague...
Yeah, but Labour, SNP, Lib Dems and Greens have all said that they support a general election. And now Theresa May is saying that she might call a general election.
Yeah,
the only people that don't want to...
Can I just speak for a minute,
Tories.
please?
Well, I'm trying to actually make
the
it clear
word
and target.
could inserted into any headline kind of devalues the headline completely. May could do anything. It doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah, well, given that she's brought back the deal 3 times already, it's probably going to be brought back a 4th time if she has the chance.
Well, 2.5. She hasn't really brought it back 3 times.
Yes, she has. It was basically the withdrawal agreement that they were voting.
Maybe she's going to bring the other half. Oh, no.
3rd meaningful vote. She's wanting to bring it back to the 4th vote, which is ridiculous.
Laughable.
Parliament should not be allowed to vote on something that many times.
Well, they weren't until she
Or
did
as
it
Michael
twice.
Heseltine has said in an interview I've saw, if Parliament can change their minds, or, can be asked and persuaded to change their minds that many times, why can't everybody else? It
And
might not be
Jacob
Michael
Rees-Mogg will
Heseltine.
just sort of
I think
hurry
Michael
up and
Heseltine
drop
said something else that I agreed with, but there was somebody who said that.
don't want to. We don't want to give people a chance to change their minds. Because we know better than everybody. And we'll make money out of it if you don't.
After watching Brexit, other countries' Eurosceptics decide to push change from within. So basically, the fucking mess that we've created has actually done the EU
wait a minute.
service, kind of.
Hang on. If Brexit doesn't happen, we could actually end up being the heroes of Europe.
If by hero, you mean basically a lemon
anti-hero, maybe.
showing how like deep a drop is.
Well, we've unified the rest of Europe, kind of like the Germans did.
It would be like saying...
No, we did better than them because the Germans didn't completely unite the rest of Europe.
It would be like saying
on their side too.
Someone walking into a trap, they're a hero because they've sacrificed themselves for you. They stumbled into it.
Tragic hero?
Yeah. An accidental tragic hero, just kind of accidentally saved things.
Indeed.
Top Tories begin circling to replace Theresa May. I think circling's an appropriate verb to use, given that they kind of are like vultures.
Vultures, yeah. There was an excellent shot, I think it was a photo of it I saw, of the lighting that was used in the studio with an interview with Jacob Rees-Mogg, and it makes him look like he's got a little tash under his nose, which is...
That was quite funny when this was ages ago with Nigel Farage and the microphone. Do you remember that?
No.
There was a camera shot taken on where the microphone was just positioned under his nose.
Oh, was not the one with the thing behind them saying vote UKIP, but the person was positioned in such a way that it just said...
I tell you what, I would be very interested to see if we did end up having to vote in the European Parliament elections. I would be very interested to see what the result would be this time.
The predictions are that UKIP has definitely dropped down.
Because I've got to be honest.
They've dropped 11 seats.
I've got to be honest and say that for the first time, I would probably actually take the time to actually have a look and see what the different candidates were representing.
I think it's predicted that Labour and Tories make 4 gains.
Because I've not really paid much attention to the MEP elections in the past, other than just to vote for a particular party.
Interestingly, SNP makes a lot of gains.
All right.
Like, as a proportion, I think they've doubled their MEPs. That's interesting. But
I just thought it was fucking hilarious just seeing Farage in the European Council meetings still. It was like, what the fuck, is he still there? It's just a laughing stock.
I bet he just sits on his own in the canteen at lunchtime, so I bet nobody sits with him.
Yeah, well, he's kind of shunned UKIP now, hasn't he? He's Brexit party now.
Has he got any friends?
Well, because basically the new UKIP leaders started hiring basically actual neo-Nazis, so it was kind of like, oh, this maybe got a bit too far, so maybe not.
That does kind of worry me when you see the predominance of the purple flags outside Westminster.
Yep.
On Friday.
But they don't get a lot of press anymore.
They did on Friday.
Did they?
Well, yeah, they were pretty much the whole... for the last few weeks, there's been all the European flags outside Parliament in the background on the BBC interview stage thing. They'd all been replaced with UKIP flags on Friday.
I guess that kind of made sense. It was meant to be the Leave Day. That would be when people would be out in their highest from Leave voters.
But I think the thing that I was talking about that I felt really uncomfortable about seeing was the marching band thing that was going on. They had like uniform kind of tunic things on and like emblems on the side of the drums, and it just looked a bit too kind of military in nature. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I felt uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. One worried Tories, one election would annihilate us.
Yay!
So yeah, by the looks of things, I think that's basically Theresa May's only escape option. I don't think she'd win.
I know
it wouldn't surprise me.
I know it would be even more upheaval for the country, but let's face it, the country's in major upheaval mode anyway. We might as well get something decent out of it, like splitting the Tories.
Yeah.
So
but then,
if we're going to be in that kind of upheaval anyway...
whilst I'm not entirely sold on Jeremy Corbyn, he's a damn sight better than Theresa May, for Christ's sake.
Anyway.
I'd rather someone else, but if that's the two options, Jeremy Corbyn.
Fucking hell, we're up to an hour and a half. May warns she can't ignore MP's demand for soft Brexit.
That's surprising, given all the red lines she made during negotiating for a hard Brexit.
Is it, though?
No, with how much flip-flopping all the MPs are doing right now, other than a few that actually have some principles, which mainly seem to be the People's Vote people. Just saying.
It is damn
team.
entertaining. I'm going to give Star Stuff an opportunity to chime in here. It is damn entertaining watching Anna Soubry.
We actually do that in the next segment.
Do we?
Our Bollocks Flash.
She's my hero.
All right, okay. So is that what's coming up next then? The Bollocks
Yes.
Flash. So yeah, I'll let you introduce this bit because should we leave a gap?
Yes. Gap.
Mind the gap.
Yes, so this is Bollocks Flash. Basically, every now and then a really big news story happen and we feel the need to react to it as it's happening. Usually like parliamentary votes as that's going on, because that's quite dramatic. Or like general elections, when that actually happens, we might do a special.
So you whop out your smartphone.
If you're going to do a special every time there's a general election, given the current situation, we'll be doing one every bloody week.
Well, I was thinking this because you did the indicative vote day and then 2 days later there was the...
Yeah, but I feel like that was a bigger deal. And we just talked generally about the chaos that had been happening as well.
It's just,
so this was actually... The Orbiter wasn't here because he was off doing some important stuff for monies.
So remember me and I'll see you again at the other side.
So we had Star Stuff.
I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sure you'll survive without me for a few minutes.
Roll the clip. Okay, this is a Bollocks Flash. The Orbiter isn't actually here right now. So we've got Star Stuff as a stand-in. I'm sure she'll be much less annoying.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the 27th right now. That's right after the indicative votes, which were indicative of fucking nothing, because all of them failed. The most ayes was a second referendum, which I'm pretty happy about.
They were quite clear that they didn't want no deal as well.
But also the lowest majority, I think, of no's was a customs union. So the Parliament clearly wants soft Brexit or second referendum. That's sort of the general idea. I mean, they don't clearly want that. They don't actually want that. It's just they least hate that.
Yeah.
And also, we're not leaving in 2 days. That's a fucking relief, because they had to actually vote on that today as well. It's a bit last minute. It's like someone doing their homework like 2 minutes before it's meant to be handed in. But
On the bus.
yeah.
Who hasn't done
that? So now it's either happening on the 12th of April or the 22nd of May. 22nd of May, because if we don't do it, then we have to have European elections, and then it's like 2 years or something. So I don't know. But it's kind of backwards from what you'd think it would be, where if we don't get any deals sorted or don't get anything else sorted, we're leaving in April. But if we get the deal sorted, we're leaving in May, which is... I mean, I would kind of rather it was the other way around.
I think that's just to allow for the preparations that we should have been putting in place from December with this deal that had been agreed.
Yeah.
The idea would be, well, now we have an extra month
so we
to
need
actually do that.
To get it actually... We're probably going to end up extending it again and having European elections, and I think we'll be doing this until like next century, so...
We're doing it until
hopefully...
we're dead.
I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully they'll actually get this sorted like in a week or something, but some really historic stuff's happening. By the way, just want to give a shout out to Anna Soubry.
We love you! You're awesome!
The amount of fucking shit she gets from her former party because she resigned. She was the only Tory that I thought was actually decent, and now she's resigned, so I don't have to say that I like any Tories. So... But she wasn't really being allowed to speak because she's being quite sassy, saying, I think it was, I can shout as loud as anyone, and I can patronise too.
Oh yes, I can patronise too. And you know what? I'm sure even Theresa May was sitting there secretly going, you go girl.
Yeah,
she had a smile on
from
her
the
face.
sort of sassy responses she's given, they kind of seem... I mean, Theresa May is horrible because of that whole... Because of everything she did in the Home Office, pretty much. And a lot of what she's done as a Prime Minister, so she's still a fucking monster, but that sass has got to help. But I don't know what's going to happen. We might have more of a clue when we're actually recording the actual podcast this is in, but I just wanted to do this now because, like, this is quite an important moment. None of this is actually binding, by the way, other than the thing extending it to April, because that was... We got permission from the EU, I think. So now we're just officially putting that in. So
we now have 2 weeks to get our act together and sort something out. Or not we, because we're not allowed to have a say. They have 2 weeks to get their act together.
Or they might decide that we're allowed to have a say, in which case that we should probably have more than 2 weeks.
Well,
and we have no idea what that referendum would actually be, and that would be a whole other complicated process with lots of different interests. And basically, I think Parliament's going to have to overthrow the government, and I'd be fucking happy to see that, because this government is a shambles. Either that or Michael Gove ends up as PM and everything goes to shit.
It could be Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Do we have any Irish ancestry, by the way?
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. I'm related to an earl, apparently, or I was.
That's not going to help.
Well, I don't think he was Irish.
Ah, shit. Anyway, that's all from us from now. We were about to see what else has happened whilst we were recording this as well. No idea what's happening. We're definitely not no dealing. Parliament's definitely against that, and I think a lot of... If it was put to referendum, that would fail.
Well, I don't think we're definitely not. Parliament is against it, but technically the government could go against that and we could leave without a deal, regardless of what anybody else thinks.
Basically, the government...
It would be political suicide for the entire Conservative Party and would probably result in all kinds of chaos. If they went against Parliament to such a degree, I think there would be an awful lot of parliamentary reform having to be
She's in
on.
Contempt of Parliament again, I think.
To say that... A lot of people say that they want to leave the EU because they feel that it's undemocratic. If we left without a deal, going against the clear wishes of Parliament, I think that's more undemocratic than anything the EU
Personally,
ever done.
I think this is just the Conservatives trying to preserve their own party and the actual problems we're complaining about in the EU, and it definitely does have problems, are more problems indicative of our Parliament, which has more problems, I would say.
And bear in mind, the EU is made up of representatives voted by each of the countries that are in the EU, including this one.
And we voted with the vast majority of things put forward to the EU, so...
We introduced some of the worst ones as well.
Yeah.
It was our idea.
Anyway, like that tariff on...
Digital VAT.
Yeah, that, but also about Chinese steel, I think it was.
I don't know, I don't trade.
Or was that to remove the tariff? I don't know.
I don't trade in Chinese steel. I do digital stuff, so I know about digital.
Anyway, I'm probably going to end this now because it's uncharacteristic for, I think it's a Bollocks Flash. I forgot what this segment's called. I think it's Bollocks
I don't want a Bollocks Flash, yuck.
Well, I don't want to either because you won't have a...
Well, I don't want your dad to either.
No, nor do I because he's my father. Bye. Say bye.
So yeah, just referring to that you mentioned about the EU rules and stuff. I did notice over the last few days that the announcement about the way that it's been worded by the media is that the EU are introducing new rules for cars to have automatic speed limiters in them by 2021, all new cars. But it wasn't nearly as strongly mentioned that Britain are going to go along with that regardless of whether we're in the EU or not.
The EU actually has a web page dedicated to all the lies the press has told about them.
Well, it's not a lie. It's just that it's something that we are going to be doing anyway. It's just that the way that the media frames it is that this is an EU directive that in a way that makes it look as though it's something we've got to comply with because we're in the EU, but we're doing it anyway.
It's how many are there in this? Looks like a fucking lot.
Yeah. I'll look it up. I'll stick the link on the description, but it's a very interesting read. European Commission in the UK. It's a list of all the articles that have been in the press about...
Sorry, just looking at this one. Queen's corgis to be outlawed.
There's one here on recycling. Sex toys must be handed in.
Oh, that was one of the... that's really just funny, but it's not true.
There's a surprisingly long Euromyths A to Z index, and this is all stuff that's genuinely appeared in the British press about EU
My favourite
legislation or supposed EU legislation, and it's all absolute bollocks.
Mostly lies
the point
by
of
the
it
British
is,
press, I think.
It doesn't really matter whether or not any of these articles...
EU is forcing cows to wear nappies.
It doesn't really matter if any of these things are true or not true. It's just stoking up that anti-rhetoric. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This has been... Some of these articles are from over a decade ago.
It's a fucking massive list, though.
So it's just evidence of that since last millennium, since the 1990s, that I don't know how far back it goes, but
I think 90s would be the furthest because that's when the EU actually existed. Because before then it was EEA.
So basically, the media have been on a concentrated campaign against the EU since.
I'm not sure how much of this is. I think most of this is it's UK only.
And, I'm not saying that being against the EU is necessarily a bad thing if it's for good reasons, but you can't, unless you live in a bubble, you cannot not be affected by this general trend towards that rhetoric.
1992 to 2017, so that doesn't even include the shit ton that have happened since then.
That's nearly 30 years of anti-EU rhetoric being foisted on us by the media.
Basically ever since Nigel Farage popped up.
Well, I'm sure it's not all his fault, but...
He's been on a long campaign for basically all of his career to get this.
Wouldn't it be funny if... well, not funny, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if in a few decades' time it suddenly comes out that Nigel Farage was actually in the pay of Rupert Murdoch.
Oh, it definitely is. I think this is illegal. I watched Vox. No, it wasn't Vox. It was Bloomberg thing on the people that cracked the big Brexit short, which was basically that Nigel Farage intentionally misled the markets using insider polling so that a couple of his friends would make a shit ton of money when the pound dropped. So he was trying to rise it up as fast as possible by saying he thinks Remain's going to win. Very uncharacteristic for him.
Yeah.
To see that he knew the next morning, and that was illegal polling that they were doing, that it would have dropped.
But then to the rest of the population, that looked like a legitimate case of just trying to save face when he wasn't sure that he was going to win.
He knew
they
were going to win because they did exit polling, which is illegal.
Yeah. Anyway. Should we make an attempt to move on now? Because it's turning into a 2-hour spectacular.
Okay. Last thing is perspectives. Okay, so our perspectives today is on the Mueller report.
Mueller.
It's Mueller.
How do you say Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
It's pronounced different people's names that are pronounced fucking differently.
Is it Ferris Buller's Day Off?
Anybody? Ferris Bullshitter's Day Off.
Anybody? Anybody?
Fuck off! Jesus Christ. Okay. This is spy... Okay, Vanity Fair has gone with this is spy hunting inside the dark heart of the Mueller report. Interesting.
This is spy hunting. I'm very uninformed about this whole thing because, as I say, Brexit's just been whitewashing the whole of the news at the moment, really. I mean, it's been there, but it's just been a passing mention. Anything else has been a passing mention.
Do you know what? It was meant to prove collusion between the Trump campaign.
I know that much. I mean, it's been going on for months, but I'm not quite sure what stage it's at now.
I don't think it was meant to prove collusion. It was to investigate whether it was going on, because that's what a true investigation should be.
It's now concluded. They'd finished all their reporting.
Right.
It's not been released to the public, which is what the current debate's on.
Right.
But the Attorney General, who I think is Barr, has done like a 4-page summary of it, even though it's hundreds of pages long.
Is he not the one that Trump appointed?
I think so, yes.
It's convenient.
Mulvaney says Mueller report not designed to exonerate Trump. Basically, what I can gather from the report is that it's not proved collusion between Donald Trump himself and the Russian government.
No, because wasn't it
collusion though
that went over there and had a lot of involvement?
He's not been indicted either.
No.
Collusion though is a very difficult crime to prove because you don't exactly write down notes saying I'm colluding with this person.
No.
It's the sort of thing that you want to keep.
Well, I mean, Donald Trump probably would because he's sick, but.
You'd have to be very dumb to get found out for collusion, I think.
Yeah, it's Donald Trump.
Has he not been found out?
No, he's not actually been indicted for collusion.
How do we know that, though, if this hasn't been properly published?
Well, if it wasn't published, it would still have legal implications.
Right, okay. Because I noticed there's one of these here that says, how redacted will it be? The release of the Mueller report is coming. How redacted will it be?
Oh, they've decided to release it.
But the redactions, they always say when they redact stuff, it's like for national security reasons. It's like...
Yeah, given the top story about spy hunting, there might be a lot to do with spies in Russia and how that relates.
Yeah.
And they're not actually allowed to say because they've done a lot of investigating behind the scenes. I think it's Paul Manafort, who was Trump's campaign manager or advisor, possibly both, and Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, have been indicted. And Michael Flynn was also indicted, who was, I think, Secretary for Defense
Right.
So a lot of people surrounding Trump have been indicted, and there's been a lot of smoke suggesting that he's been connected to the Russian government, but they're not actually able to prove it.
They're all surrounding him. They can't actually get through
It's
that
very suspicious,
inner circle.
basically.
Yeah.
Including his own son going to meet with someone that was meant to provide information on Hillary Clinton's campaign, which he did actually fuck up doing, but... And him saying on national television that if Russia's watching...
Just as an aside, I mean, talking about that kind of incompetence, I just wanted to just drop in something slightly... It's not related to this, but it is related to what we were talking about earlier. I found something quite funny that I saw a thing that... I can't remember who it was. It was a report somebody had... it was Nicola Sturgeon. Yeah. She said that Theresa May is the only leader in history who has offered to fall on her sword and missed.
Nicola Sturgeon's a fucking badass.
Sorry,
though.
Do carry on.
Yeah, she gets close.
Nah.
Okay, Forbes going with why Barr's delay, I think that's the Attorney General, is releasing the Mueller report is unprecedented and unreasonable. I think basically they have to go over it to check that their asses are covered.
Yeah. And the Washington Post saying there's a roadmap for the coming fight over the Mueller report. So the coming fight, what is that? Is that a fight between the people who want it fully released and the people who...
I think that's over what it actually means.
Right, okay. Yep.
Because there may be follow-up investigations if the right people read this and enough pressure is put on the government to put those in place.
Mm-hmm.
And now with Democrats controlling the House, I think that means that they can start investigations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The release of the redacted thing.
Pardon me.
Mueller's report is a warning and Britain won't listen.
That's interesting.
Trump is very connected to the Cambridge Analytica story as well.
Yeah, which is very connected to the
Brexit campaign. They're interlinked. Their polling is done by the same company as far as I can tell. Nigel Farage and him are basically in cahoots.
I'm just wondering how long it's going to be before Putin has the world divided.
Oh, fuck, that smells...
Starts just looking confused.
He farted.
I thought you said, oh, fluff nov nov. And I'm like, what? Have you been learning Russian or something?
What else we got? Britain won't listen. Yeah. Britain's not listening to itself, let alone anyone else.
Yeah. Mueller report, BBC, White House roasts critics over Mueller. Their fucking press secretaries are a nightmare. With their alternative facts and all that.
Roasts critics. Well, that's a fairly default kind of stance, isn't it?
Yeah.
How about addressing the critics?
Well, when have you ever seen this White House do that?
Trump cleared of conspiring with Russia, according to the Mueller report. Who's SNL?
SNL is Saturday Night Live.
Oh, right, okay.
They do like comedy sketches and it's a big thing in America.
Russia is bummed about the Mueller report.
I think they're the one that did Gollum as Theresa May.
All right, okay. Was that not...
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, they've got, I think, Alec Baldwin doing Trump.
Best thing I've seen him in is Black Sheep.
And Matt Damon as...
oh, no, it wasn't. It was The Cottage. Sorry.
Brett Kavanaugh, the rapey one. Well, one of two rapey ones in the Supreme Court.
Is that something you should... Is that something you need to put... make a comment about alleged on it or not?
I don't give a shit because I'm not held accountable for that, but they definitely did.
You're not held accountable for what? Because your age?
Well, I'm not. We're not an official news source.
Okay.
Alex,
I'd still say alleged though, just in case.
we believe the testimony of I can't remember the lady's name, but
Dr. Christine Blasey Ford.
Yeah.
Anyway, next.
And there was one in the 90s as well. I've forgotten the name of, so sorry. So that means that there's 2 Supreme Court judges that have probably raped people. That's great to know. US Congress given key findings from Attorney General Barr. So does that mean that Congress has been allowed to read it, or is it just the Attorney General so far?
Well, it says they've been given the key findings.
That might be the summary. A 4-page summary.
Yeah.
Which is clearly not enough.
Yeah, because Democrats have demanded the full report by early April, according to The Guardian, as it happened. And you can, in the New York Times, read the Attorney General's summary.
Yeah, you can go read it. It's at the New York Times.
I'll stick a link on.
Although my review is ongoing, I believe it is in the public interest to describe the report and to summarise the principal conclusions reached by the special counsel and the results of his investigation.
Indeed.
Oh, sorry, I've got a web extension that changes every mention of Trump to Drumpf because of last week tonight, and that's he's got like Dutch ancestry, so
All right, okay.
his surname when his family came to America was actually Drumpf.
Spelt Drumpf. Anyway, I've had enough. Are we nearly done?
Yeah, I think so. Basically, things are as shady as ever, just it's not actually been proven, which is quite disturbing.
Yeah.
Are we doing this day in history?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's finish off with this day in history. This is at the suggestion of a new section from Craig. Thank you for your suggestion
Who
to
is
do at this day in
the
history.
granddaddy of the After Dark Network.
He's not really, is he? He's the saviour. He's the king of the podcast, apparently, according to Nick.
It's the granddaddy, isn't he?
The granddaddy? I don't know. Is he?
Oh, but you're actually a granddad.
Do you feel old?
I'm sure I'm not the only one.
So just March 31st.
Yeah. I hate that. That's one thing I despise the EU for. Is the pop-up windows that come up every time you go to a website asking you to accept cookies.
Yeah, but it's good because it means that companies are
I know. It's just I still find it annoying.
Just collecting your information.
It does give some companies an opportunity to be quite funny about it when it
that's
read
true.
more or whatever, just go away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not daft enough to make an issue out of it like some people do about choosing how brown their toast is or how bent their bananas are.
Okay.
Just find it a bit annoying. France and Spain signed a truce in 1504.
Not sure particularly what war that was.
Are they still trucing, do you think?
Yeah.
Well, France is more. Spain's more kind of at war with the Basque region in between, really, aren't they? So
they're not at war with anyone, as far as I know. They're just not very fond of them.
Yeah.
1657, English Parliament makes the humble petition to Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell, offering him the crown. He declines.
Now that's interesting. I wonder what would have happened if Oliver Cromwell had accepted the crown.
We might be a bit more puritanical. He was a right dickhead. He banned Christmas.
Did he?
He was a dick.
And the Fairtos.
I mean, we can say that. He's not going to sue.
Was he a Roundhead or were they the other side?
He was the Roundheads, yes.
Yeah.
I
just think that was a funny name.
There's a reason
he
for
was a dickhead, really.
Excuse me. What's this? 1745. Jews are expelled from Prague.
Yeah.
They've been expelled from quite a few places, haven't they?
Yeah. Sometimes by force, unfortunately.
Yeah.
1770, Immanuel Kant is appointed Professor of Logic and Metaphysics at the University of Königsberg.
He looks like a
Königsberg,
Kant.
sorry. I'll use my German pronunciation.
He's a cunt, isn't he?
He did have some quite bizarre...
I've heard of him.
Beliefs on race, but he's basically... his idea is that there are set rules and duties that people have to follow.
Goethe's Egmont.
1796, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Egmont premieres.
There's a
in
theme
Weimar.
developing here. Next one down, 1808, French created Kingdom of Westphalia orders Jews to adopt family names. A lot of people didn't like the Jews, did they?
Yeah. Well, you can kind of see how it got to that stage in 1939.
Yeah.
Or way before then.
1814. See, this is where it starts to get interesting for me.
What?
Well, I'm just saying the forces allied against Napoleon captured Paris. But
Are you only just look at the events of interest, I think.
Yeah, but I like
Okay.
this one is the massacre of the population of the Greek island of Chios by soldiers of the Ottoman Empire following a rebellion attempt. Because to me, that's quite interesting news because it's. I mean,
The Ottomans were around for a long time.
I know, but the idea of a population of a whole island being massacred following a rebellion attempt.
Yeah, the Greeks and the Ottomans did do quite a bit of massacring of one another.
I mean, that's less than 200 years ago. You know,
they still don't really like each other because
which might seem like a long time,
Turkey
but it's
kind of
not
half
really.
occupies northern Cyprus. 1814, forces allied against Napoleon capture Paris. Oh, that was interesting because, the Prussian and I think it might have been British alliance.
Oh, that's an interesting one. 1880, first town to claim to be completely illuminated by electric lighting, Wabash, Indiana.
Eiffel Tower opens, 1889.
Mm-hmm.
1905, Emperor Wilhelm II of Germany, that was the one in World War One,
Yeah.
visits Tangier, Morocco, and proclaims Germany's support of Moroccan independence and equal opportunity for all powers to trade there.
Okay. And what else we got? Oh, what's that?
Something about Mahler there. Constructs New York's Philharmonic
Conducts.
for his first time.
There was something about Ireland. British Parliament, 1920. British Parliament accepts Irish Home Rule law.
Mm-hmm.
1921. British coal miners go on strike. That was a theme, wasn't it, in the 20th century? What's this Britain and France agreeing to here? To support Poland if invaded by Germany, 1939.
1944, Hungary orders all Jews to wear yellow stars.
Nice. Not. That wasn't it.
Yeah, it does feel like nowadays you kind of have to clarify.
What's this in 1951? The US tanks exceed 38 degrees of latitude in Korea. What does that mean?
I think the sort of way that it's divided, there's a sort of north-south divide. It's not an exact straight line where it's done, but that's sort of where it's meant to be the cut-off point. So in the 50s, they went past that.
1948, US Congress passed Marshall Aid Act to rehabilitate war-torn Europe.
48,
yeah. And 1954, USSR offers to join NATO.
Can you really offer to join NATO?
Yeah. I'm presuming when they say they offered to join NATO that they were refused, maybe?
Well, I'm presuming that it was just set up relatively recently.
That's interesting. I see. Like I don't know if we've discussed this on podcast on air or not, but the rhetoric that used to come out of America about the numbers of. Now I think I've maybe seen it on some TV program. The numbers of nuclear weapons in Russia.
Yeah,
was actually a lot less than America were claiming.
Suspends
on that
nuclear
90s
weapon
program
tests.
or 80s program you were watching, I think.
Well, yeah, it's just
although
saying 1958.
in Russia now it is a lot higher because America's started to do some denuclearization. 1958, USSR suspends nuclear weapon tests and urges US and Britain to do the same.
You say that, but at the same time, that's what we're being told now. You know, back then we were being told that they had.
Yes, but we have actual information now that can be verified a lot better.
I'm sure they had actual information then as well.
We have satellite photography now that can see the actual nuclear weapon stores.
Okay. And they can see through solid material, can they? Underground.
I mean, some of them are actually, it's funny, some of the silos are actually open now.
Yeah.
Just because they're so badly looked after, and like some of the actual codes are held on floppy disks.
All I'm trying to say is that remember, any information that's given out is given out at the time by the powers that be at the time.
But we can reasonably assume in the information era, if you do your fact checking, that the truth is able to be reached.
Yeah.
And these figures are fact-checked by the UN.
I know.
who are a respected institution.
I'm
for
just
fact-checking
exercising
this
a
kind of thing.
skeptical mindset.
Yeah, but don't just
that's-
question everything because you're just like, oh, well, let's just question this and go, oh, it's all
I think you have to
mysterious.
question everything, especially nowadays.
Yeah, question everything, but don't have a sort of
I'm not going to assume that everything I'm told is true by whoever.
But don't assume that everything you're told is a lie.
No, I'm not going to assume that either. I'm
know.
just going to accept that there will be some lies in what we're being told.
1966, Labour Party under Harold Wilson win British parliamentary election.
I mean but going back to that the nuclear weapons thing with Russia, that wasn't just a small error. The whole world was being told that they were as big a nuclear threat as America. When they literally had 4 or 5 nuclear weapons at the time.
But nowadays, as checked by the UN, and they do keep a close eye on nuclear powers in case they start building any when they're not supposed to, like North Korea does.
Yeah, was it not the UN that was supposed to be allowed access into Iraq, though, to check for WMDs?
Yeah, but we went in and invaded before they actually got the chance to. And they were totally going to give up. And more recently, they were meant to go check in Syria for chemical weapons.
Wow. Labour won in 1966. Harold Wilson.
That was the last time then I think actually properly left Labour won.
Yeah. So 66, that was the year that...
And
my
I
brother was born.
believe he established the NHS.
All right.
That might have been what was is it Tom Atlan?
And it's at least in name still there.
Yeah.
1980. Thank you, Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter deregulates banking industry.
Well done, Dick.
I think he was a Democrat as well.
See, 1982, rock group Doobie Brothers split up. That reminds me of a film, Romancing the Stone.
Okay.
God damn it, the Doobie Brothers split up. When did that happen? I remember the English Hampton Court Palace fire. That was 86.
1 dead.
Oh, community charge poll tax law riots, 1990. Major riots in London and other British towns in protest against the new community charge poll tax laws.
1991, Georgia and SSSR votes on whether to remain in the Soviet Union. So Georgia might have actually played quite a big part in that sort of
they were in the news quite a bit at the time. The Warsaw Pact dissolved 91 as a result of that. Endorsing independence.
Anyway,
let's wrap it up.
We'll try to maybe be a bit more rapid in the news rundown next time, but
okay, let's wrap up then.
Okay. I've been Firebolt.
I've been the Orbiter.
And this has been Breaking Bollocks, episode 7.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.